In this video, we're going to talk a little bit about further optimization and editing of graphics using some of the tools that are in the bottom in the Properties Inspector menu. So the first one I want to talk about, if you see after the edit symbol, you'll see typically a PS or an FW icon. PS stands for Photoshop, and the FW stands for Fireworks. And it really, which one shows up depends on the type of graphic it is and which program sort of originated or created it. So in this case, this was a photo, so it went through Photoshop. If you click on that, it'll open the item inside the originating creating program and allow you to do further editing. So that's one way that we can go ahead and edit further your particular graphic. Next to that, and we'll come back to this at the end, there's an edit image settings dialog that we can call into effect. To the right of that, you'll see one that's sort of grayed out on this that says edit update from original. For those of you that work with smart objects, if you're working inside of Photoshop, you completed the Photoshop course, and you have smart objects that you like to employ workflow-wise into Dreamweaver, that's what this is for. Since this is just a straight up sort of a photograph that we haven't been working with the smart object, you won't be able to do this. To the right of that is the crop tool. We saw that in a previous video. If you want to further crop the graphic within Dreamweaver, you can do that with this tool. To the right is the resample tool. We've also already employed that. Because I just did this a few minutes ago on this particular image, you see that the resample currently is unavailable. If we save this and then package the entire site and then open it again, you'll be able to get that tool again as well. To the right of that is a brightness and contrast set of sliders. So if you click on this, you're always going to get a warning from Dreamweaver that lets you know you'll be able to undo it with the undo step. But once this gets saved, it will permanently sort of change or overwrite the file. So I'm going to click OK. And I'm going to move this closer to the graphics so that you can see. Typical brightness slider. So as I increase the brightness, notice the graphic gets lighter to the point where we can bleach it out to almost white, and conversely we can make it extremely dark. And then there's the contrast slider, which controls the way the dark and the light colors interact and how much contrast levels there is between it. And you see if you contrast something too much, it starts to posterize, and that's not desirable, and too little, it starts to turn completely gray with absolutely no contrast, totally desaturated. So I think a little bit employed in there for this particular image looked good. And I'll click OK. And then to the right of the brightness and contrast slider is a sharpen button. I want to sort of preemptively strike and say that sharpen is not a substitute for a well-focused photo. What it's going to look for is high transition pixels, and it's going to increase the level of contrast between those. So you can't over sharpen a photo, just use this carefully. Same warning message, we'll click OK, and then I'll show you some of the different sharpen levels. I'm thinking probably a setting of about 1 is optimal for this, but if you move it all the way over to 10, you can see the effect of sort of over sharpening something. So I'm going to take it back. Yeah, that looks okay. All right, the last item that I wanted to go back to was this edit image settings. You see that currently our image is 542K. What I want to do is I want to click on the edit image settings. And there's some presets in the edit image setting or image optimization. PNG 24 for photos, JPEG for photos, continuous tone, PNG 8 for logos and text, JPEG high for maximum compatibility with other editors and JPEG files, GIF for background images and patterns, typically flat graphics, and then the PNG for background images with possibly gradients and transparency. So I'm going to leave it set for this, sort of a default for photos, JPEG. And you'll see that we have a quality level slider that we can move and a current indication of what the size of this file is. Now 525K is extremely large. It's way too big for a photo that's going to be used on the web. So I'm going to pull the slider and check the different JPEG compression levels on this photo. And you're always, as a professional designer, going to maintain that balance between quality and the size of the file. You want to have it so that you strike the perfect balance for what it is you're going to use the image for. If I was using an image, for instance, for a background pattern, it may be not as essential to have some of the details inside there, some of the sharpness and some of the contrast and the definition in the photo. So I might sacrifice some of that quality for a very, very efficient or small file that loads quickly and keeps my web page very, very lean. However, if it's a product shot or if it's something that's marquee or highlighting service or product, you don't want to do that. You want to keep the quality level high, but you want to keep it still efficient, just not sacrifice efficiency for the sake of quality. So it's going to be very much a judgment issue for you to do. I'm looking at this. I've already brought it down to 72 pixels per inch. I've already cropped it, I believe. I'm going to try recropping it again. And I'm going to get it to a compression level that I think is adequate. Now, if I move it all the way to the left, you can see that this is absolutely not satisfactory. The image becomes sort of pixelated, very, very difficult to see. If I keep it all the way to the right, you see that we have the original file size. We don't have much compression or much of a savings as far as the file size goes. So I will get it to something I think is fairly serviceable. Yeah, I think that's okay. I'm gonna click OK, and that'll save our image. You'll notice it went from 525 down to 42K. We can still go back and apply additional items to this. So if I want to crop it a little bit more, maybe to get in closer to the cables. Yeah, looks pretty good to me. So I'm going to go ahead and save this. And you'll see that we have a 36K file. And if I look at the assets, our NetWire is listed here as 36K. Here you see the 36K also in the Property Inspector. So I hope that helps you out with working with your graphics and further optimizing them inside the program. Of course, there are other options to optimize outside of the program, but those really are dealt with primarily through Photoshop and Fireworks.